What's going on, everybody? Degen Dave here. We're back. Sent it Thursdays, right? How many of you guys caught that 𝗵𝗵𝗻𝗂? How many of you guys caught that 𝗨𝗨 at ADA? We gave you guys tons of bangers. I've got updates for you guys. I've got updates on 𝗨𝗨, updates on ADA. There's definitely some entries coming into zones right now, but I want to know, what are you guys thinking? Are you guys feeling bearish right now? This is only the first day of a sell-off, and obviously bad news with the PPI information, but it almost feels like an opportunity, right? So we have some trades that are coming into fruition right now. There's also some entries that I'm looking at here. I've got lots to cover, guys, so let's get right into it. Cool, guys, and you guys know the deal. Smash the like, smash the notification, hit the bell button. If you guys are brand new here, welcome. We are the Chart Hackers. We're a group within Crypto Banter. I do a lot of TA. We do a lot of charts. We do technical analysis, and send it Thursdays, right? I'm more of a swing trader. For me, I like to build positions and kind of sit in these positions for however long, sometimes a couple days, sometimes a couple weeks, sometimes a month, right? I've been sitting in this super trade for a month, and kind of interesting that token hasn't even been affected. We've got some news on super for those of you guys that have been building your spot positions. But yeah, guys, lots to cover. We've got 30 minutes. Still instructions is to do it for 30 minutes. And last week we did a on-the-spot chart request just from scratch, and it was a nice little short, kind of played out into the weekend. So hopefully you guys caught some of that. And then, yeah, guys, remember to set your stop losses at break even, because that one obviously ripped a little bit higher. Could look like another short there. But guys, the market's crazy. We're in crypto, volatile, 10% here, 20% there, 70% here, right? I heard about that SKL pump today, right? A lot of you guys were trying to take that short there, so maybe we can look at that. But yeah, guys, look, at the end of the day, we try to make the best decisions possible here. Not every trade works out, right? Sometimes we'll get invalidated, but the goal here is to win more than we lose, right? So anyways, not only do I want to give you guys some setups, but if I can give you guys some alpha, some mindset things, right? Because a lot of trading is mindset, right? We're not in a casino. We're not just at the blackjack table, or we're not at the roulette table, black or red, right? We're doing calculated gambling here. But at the end of the day, it's high risk. We're in cryptocurrency. It's a high risk asset. So just make sure that you guys understand these setups that I give you guys have a plan as far as if they don't work out, right? Because again, some of the trades I gave last week didn't really work out, and I took some stops too, right? But obviously there were some bangers that we all took profits on. So let's get into it. Banter bubbles, what do we got? So for the week, right, Link, I think we talked about that last week. ADA kind of flying here. Ethereum, I don't know if you guys saw that, but I think it was Tom Lee, some guy bought the top, thinks Ethereum is going to do like 100x, and shoot, if that really happens, guys, we're all going to be quite wealthy here. You just got to stick around, right? Arbitrum 22%. OKB, I had no clue that OKX's token is ripping, right? So obviously Asia is feeling some FOMO, right? So what are they going to do when Asia opens, right? They might get a little bit of FOMO here, and I mean, US market pretty much gave him some awesome entries here. Radium, was looking at Radium. We actually talked about that on Tuesday in the Chart Hacker session there. 𝗨𝗨, obviously I gave you guys that arrow. And yeah, nice to see that. And let's see what kind of sell-offs do we have here. SPX, Floki, Bonk, some of these meme coins. Guess some people are getting out of that rotation there. For the day, blood on the streets for the most part, and for the hour, right? Blood on the streets, right? So let's get into the RSI heat maps, a little bit below neutral territory. Again, what is overbought right now? SKL. Obviously, something's going on there. I don't know, but could be some extra pumping for the next little while here. We'll see. Maybe we have time to TA that. And then oversold, right? What do we got here? CFX, right? We saw CFX take, like 100% rip a couple weeks ago. Now it's oversold. Maybe that's an opportunity. Kava, hadn't seen that one in forever. That could be an opportunity. Virtual getting smashed as well. But yeah, guys, look, we got to look at these lower oversold tokens. Maybe there's some good long opportunities there, right? Cool. So let's get into some TA, right? So dominance, right? So for those of you guys that were tuned into the Tuesday session for the Chart Hackers, I was talking about bouncing off the 618 on the macro, right? So let me zoom out here and show you guys what I'm talking about, right? So I've got a fib that's pulled from the low to the high, and what we have here is the hacker zone, and we literally tap the 618 perfectly. just a couple days ago. And look, I was looking for a bounce there, right? Obviously, dominance was dropping like it's hot. We were looking at this triangle formation, and obviously we lost it. Altcoins ran a little bit here, had this nice retest, and then we had the dominance dump here, right? So typically when we bounce off a macro higher time frame fib, you know, you also want it to hit some kind of shorter time frame fib. So what I've done here now is I've taken a fib from the high to the low, and you can see that we have the 382 coming in right here at 60.4, right? So I think all of us should probably set an alert here and call it the 382 retracement. And this is important because this is probably where we want to start aping into some long positions. Now, there are some tokens that are in areas now, but, you know, I kind of suspect dominance coming up just a little bit here, and then I'd like to see us come right back down, right? However, if things get really bearish and Asia sells it even more, and I'll explain why they could continue to sell it, then we could see dominance come all the way up to the 618, almost like this macro retest. And then I'd like to see it come down here. So it's very important to understand the 60.45 level and the hacker zone level, which would be quite brutal here at 61.32. But hopefully some of you guys got some head shorts. Let's get into Bitcoin, right? So here's what I'm seeing with Bitcoin at the moment. Okay, I made a post on Twitter, and it was nice to see this bounce right here, right? We had this break above the point of control, then we had this pullback onto the point of control, and I thought it was beautiful that we had the anchored VWAPs from the previous all-time high coming in here, and then the anchored VWAP from the impulse move coming in here, and it was a nice little bounce, right? So I actually have an alert here, and I think all of you guys should as well, just for the future, but there's $14 billion worth of shorts to be liquidated at $125,000. And I have an alert set right here that says just that, 14 billion shorts to be liquidated, right? So it's important to just have that there. But if you guys look here, this doesn't look great. We've lost the anchored VWAP. We're kind of losing this one. We're below the point of control. And so it almost feels like we should come down a little bit more. And here's my thought process on that as well. Okay, so yesterday, Asia opened. For those of you guys that were paying attention, Asia opened it with a nice little green candle here. So this, if you look at the bottom of my screen, it says 1900 hours. That is 7 p.m. my time. That is when Asia opens up here, right? So Asia opens up here in about an hour and 50 minutes. They opened it up with some green, and essentially they have the best short entries. So Asia wrote some shorts down, and you would think US market would come and stop them out and then take it down. But instead, US market joined the party. So the US New York session opened up some shorts, PPI came out, and they all nuked it. I forget how much was liquidated. I'm sure it's an astronomical number there. But here we are. We're at this territory here. But Asia has the best entries. So why not capitalize on that a little bit more, right? It almost feels like, and I've seen Asia do some dirty business, but you know, I personally would like to see them sell it a little bit more, maximize on their shorts, grab a long entry down here, and then pump it up. So I know there's a lot of people trying to long it right here. I think the order books are also showing that, and usually market makers come take them out, then they pump it up, right? So the more time that we have sitting at this level, the easier it is for market makers to just dump it right quick and then pump it up, right? So I'd be very cautious. Again, there are some tokens at very good levels, and I'm probably going to take a trade here live with you guys on the show, but I'll give you guys kind of my thought process on that. So let's zoom out on Bitcoin right quick. And what am I thinking here, right? So I think the banger could honestly be back down at the 50-day MA. We got this mini range pull. I've got a macro range pull as well, right? We have value area high sitting now at 115. We have the 50-day MA, anchored VWAP. I mean, it just feels like it'd make a lot of sense just to come down just a little bit more and then go, right? I took you guys through my thought process there. So how much of a drop is that? It's not much. And it probably will just be for seconds or minutes, right? It's a little 2%er on Bitcoin, right? So again, we could very well reclaim right now and bounce. And I do have some setups for you right now, but I also have some setups just in case we do come down a little bit more and then bounce. But personally, I don't want to see us go below this level here, like 114.6. Start losing the 50 and this anchored VWAP, and then we're probably headed down lower, right? I think we're going to start heading down to 110, but we don't have enough data for that, but that is just my opinion, not financial advice. I could be wrong, but that is what I'm thinking here, right? So highlights from last week. Lido gave this to you guys on a silver platter. We were looking at two scenarios 2 weeks ago. Scenario 2 was this. And again, what can we learn from this setup? 2 point of controls, 50-day MA, 100-day MA. When everything starts coming together, there's always some kind of explosion if the fundamentals are correct, of course. And so from where we were giving you guys that banger entry, we had a nice little 80% rip to the upside. But if you guys are in the chart hackers, we did a session on Tuesday and I gave you guys the short. I closed my long, I flipped short. I'm in the short right now, right here on WEX, right? Took the short up $2,500 in profit, 100% P&L, and nice little head short here. I think Lido has went to the heavens here and it needs to kind of come back down to earth for a little bit here. So for any of you guys that maybe took a Lido short, what am I looking for? Obviously we could bounce off this anchored VWAP now, but personally, I'm holding the short. I'd like to see it kind of maybe come down to 114 personally here, right? I think it needs to just chill out a little bit, consolidate. I'm sure there's a lot of people that FOMO'd longed here. And if they didn't take profits, what do they get? They get a round trip situation. How many times have you guys got round trip, right? Make sure you guys take your profits. Okay. So another highlight here as well. Again, so for those of you guys that want a Lido update, I'm looking potentially to flip long at 114, holding the short. Again, it could very well bounce here because of this anchored VWAP from the impulse move. But personally, I'd like to see that get lost here. Okay. Another highlight was Mavia. Quite the shenanigan situation here, but gave you guys that on a silver platter as well. We had a nice little rip to the upside, nice 64% move. Hopefully you guys took some profits. But what's interesting about Mavia is it had a 618 hacker zone retracement. The science is real, as they say. So if you guys take a fib from that high to that low, you guys can see that the hacker zone perfection, right? So that's, again, when higher time frames, when you guys start seeing that wick, make sure you guys take some profits. ADA, gave you guys ADA as well. We've been talking about ADA for a while here, and hopefully you guys took some profits, but I'm looking to ape into ADA again. So this is one of those deals where with that Bitcoin scenario, 2% drop, right? Asia maximizes their shorts. I'd love to see this on ADA personally, right? We have an anchored VWAP. I also have a new fib pull here, right? So from the absolute low, right? So take a look here, absolute low to the absolute high. We have a 382 coming in here. Point of control on chart prime. We have an anchored VWAP here, another anchored VWAP from the low. We have a rising trend situation. We have a bullish order block. So whatever the song and dance is, right, this to me is a banger. Obviously, it ripped quite nicely, like 44%. There's something going on. If you guys were paying attention to last night, it was up 10% immediately while everything else was kind of stagnant. So I do like ADA. And if you guys want my alert level, 0.8285. That's where I'm looking at getting back in to the trade, right? And I'm looking to essentially ride it from that level to about 115, which is a 786 retracement on the fib, right? I got a fib from the high to the low. 786 a banger. Look at this. We've had a rejection at the 786 multiple times. It just makes a lot of sense for us to come and hit that 786 as far as the short term goes. Okay. Now let's talk about Pengu. We talked about Pengu last week as well. And I was telling everybody, look, this trend line is not the greatest trend line. I know that, Dylan was looking for potential bounce here. I know Ran is shilling the crap out of Pengu now, right? So you got big influencers shilling it. Obviously, Ran didn't cause the pump at all, but it's coming into the zone that I was looking for, that I was talking about last week. And what I was talking about is this value area high retest, 50-day MA, anchored VWAP, and this actually would play out to what I'm looking for with Bitcoin, right? Just a little bit more. And that's kind of why I'm also biased on maybe seeing a little bit more of a sell-off, because it would then give some of these altcoins like banger entries, right? So the banger entry for me with Pengu is still this macro 618 value area high. We got bullish order block here. Again, I've been looking at this level for 2 weeks now, and I still have my alerts set here, right? So this is the Degen play. Be very careful, low leverage, don't get wrecked. Okay. But again, high risk, high reward. The level that I have this alert here, guys, is 0.0302. That is the banger. We're getting oversold indicators on the midterm timeframes on the 4-hour. And yeah, I think Pengu could be a nice little play here, right? Especially if we get some kind of relief bounce maybe on the weekend. So kind of suspecting if we do get continued sell off on Friday, tomorrow, or Asia opens, maybe US buys it up. I don't know the deal, but I do suspect maybe Saturday or Sunday, some kind of pumpy action here. Okay. Again, US market has made a lot of these altcoins come to very nice levels. Okay. So I guess I got 4 setups here I want to take you guys through, right? We've got about 13 minutes left. So Render, okay. Shout out to Trader J for this. He told me, hey, you should take a look at, he told me to look at a lot of tokens, but I really like Render. I haven't really traded Render in a while. Actually, Render was one of my biggest trades before I met Banter a couple years ago. But it is interesting that the weekly has a blue reversal dot, and we have hidden bullish divergences here. So this is the higher time frame. Obviously, when AI starts to wake up, this could be pretty nasty of a move. We're looking at a visit back to about $10 for Render. Now, this is why I like Render, and I feel like I'm going to take the trade now, guys. And here's why. There's a lot of tokens that are rejecting point of controls. They're rejecting like the 50-day MA, like Core, and some of these other ones. But Render broke above, and it had a pullback, and it pulled back beautifully here on the point of control, on a bullish order block, on the 50-day MA, on an anchored VWAP. And what's interesting about this anchored VWAP is the anchored VWAP from the absolute low. And I've told you guys over and over and over again, I love tokens that are holding the anchored VWAP from the absolute low. We are here right now. Okay. So this looks very nice. And again, Bitcoin 2% dump. What is that going to mean for Render? Well, look, Render could probably do something like this and then go, right? Or it can hit this trend line and then go, right? So, you know, there's about a 4% window here. It makes a lot of sense. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let's take the trade right now. I really like this. Okay. So this is a trick that, you know, we teach in the Chart Hackers. I'm going to do it very quickly, and you guys are probably gonna have to watch this to see how I do it, right? But I didn't even know this trick. I've been trading for years and years and years. I didn't know this trick until I met Dylan, the Lord of Entry. So make sure you guys follow his show. He has a daily show. But here we are, Lido. What we do here is, because the trade has ran away quite nicely, I'm going to max out the leverage. When you max out the leverage, you can then remove the margin. So I'm going to click here, reduce margin, and max reduce, right? Now I've taken out that margin, and now I have $2,000 available to trade, right? So it's almost like playing in the craps table. If you guys are familiar with the craps table, you can play the 6 and 8. You make money off the 6 and 8. You can then take that money and compound it and put it on the 5 and the 9. Same thing here, right? Bluefin doesn't allow you to do this, but 𝗏X does. So make sure if you guys don't trade on 𝗏X, click the link below. There's a bonus. There's some kind of special deal by going through the link below to trade on 𝗏X. So this is a very awesome trick that they allow you to do. But Render is the banger that we're looking at right now. I want to get a nice little starter position at the moment, right? So here we are, and you know, I'm going to set it up. You know, let's just do a little 7xer. Okay, 7x is fine for me here, and yeah, let's go ahead and start a position here. So let's fire off. You know, let's just fire it off here. Let's fire it off. Right. So taking a live trade with you guys. Let's market this thing. We are in the trade now. Perfect. Right. So my plan, for those of you guys that are wondering, is if we do get some dips down here, I will be in negative drawdown, but I will add to my order here. And the whole goal is to average both of those entries, merge those positions, and then ride it here, right? So worst case scenario for Render, we're looking to ride this to the trend, which is about a 12% move. That could be a bearish retest on Bitcoin. However, if Bitcoin does go for all-time highs after this, then I would expect us to break this trend line here. Again, the higher timeframes on Render look quite nice. And, you know, value area high is $4.69. You know, it's looking quite nice here, guys. And here's the other thing that I really like about Render is there's a point of control on this range pull, right? And this point of control is coming right here. We are on that right now. Like, this is the moment. Okay. So I do really like Render. We're in the trade. We took the trade live together. Let's go. Now let's talk about another setup here. Bonk. Okay. Bonk looks quite juicy. And if you guys were watching Pump, I haven't really been tracking it as much, but it's been pumping, and it's kind of a competitor to Bonk at the moment. But here's what I like about Bonk. Same situation as Render. We have an anchored VWAP from the absolute low here. Anchored VWAP from the absolute low. We have point of control here. We have the 100 AMA. We have the 618 hacker zone here as well. So, you know, as far as higher timeframes goes, this gives me confidence. And then if we look at the shorter timeframes, look at this, right? We have that point of control right here at 2231. Obviously, there's a bunch of zeros. I'm just going to give you guys the last 4 there. But again, same thing with that Bitcoin scenario. RSIs are kind of like right here. So maybe, again, Bitcoin, we go down to 114. And then I would like to see Bonk kind of do something like this, right? And then we get that rally, right? So we have 2 bullish order blocks right below us. We have a macro 618, 100-day MA, right? I am waiting patiently for a nice entry. It's had quite the pullback today, right? So if we look at how much of that pullback for Bonk, you know, negative 14% today, right? So opportunity, right? But again, a little bit more hit that point of control, just like what we saw with Render, which is why I took the trade. But having Bonk hit that point of control and that 100 AMA guys and that macro 618, I'm feeling really good about this one, right? And again, I don't really trade Bonk too much, but when it comes into a zone, you better believe I want to take advantage of it, right? So here we go. What are some targets? Some targets here, guys. Value area high here is at 2790, which is a 25% move. If we come up to this horizontal, that's a 40% move. And if we do a 618 retracement, let me just confirm that. Nope. So from the high to the low, yeah, still there, right? So 3458, nice little 618 retracement. We could look for a 54% move to the upside here with Bonk. So I do like this. Again, it's a meme coin. Be cautious. It's a Degen play, right? So as far as another ETH play, I kind of want to give you guys an ETH play for every session here. But 𝗙𝗔𝗩 looks amazing here. It's a Dino token, and I actually gave this to the chart hackers on Tuesday when I gave a post, or I think it was Monday, and we had this nice little 22% rip to the upside, and then we've round tripped. But I like the round trip. We're round tripping onto an anchored VWAP, 2 anchored VWAPs. We have the 50-day, we have the 100-day, we have the 200. Guys, we have exactly what we saw with Lido happening right now. This looks amazing. So assuming that Bitcoin does dump a little bit here, maybe this is the case, right? But I do expect 𝗙𝗔𝗩, however you say it, to have an explosive move to the upside here. So looking for higher targets here on like $2.17. But again, we do have a point of control down here at 114. How big of a drop could that be? You know, this could be a 16%, dump extra, right? Hopefully that's not the case. Again, we didn't see that with Lido. Again, if you want to reference Lido, right, it didn't really go below all these things here, right? It pretty much hit this to the T and went. So I'm looking for kind of the same thing with 𝗙𝗔𝗩. I don't want to see us go too much lower. I'd like to see something like this, kind of like what I'm showing you guys with Lido, and then for us to go, right? So we're almost there. I would say the entry, again, if you're looking for like a, better stop loss here, I would say 127 to 137. That's kind of the entry zones. Have a tight stop loss below the 50-day MA. And I think that's, for people that want to, have a tight stop loss. But for any swing traders, and you don't mind going 3 or 4 or 5x leverage and laddering into this guy, I think laddering down to 117 makes a lot of sense. I don't see us going below this point of control. That also lines up with this macro rising trend line that I'm trying to identify here, right? This is a confirmed rising trend here. 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, and point of control, right? So, this is kind of the banger here. And if I zoom out, 𝗙𝗔𝗩, whatever you want to say it here. Yes, the target I would like for us to see is this macro horizontal resistance, which at $2.20, that would give us a move of about 60%. The goal here is for us to break above, hold this as support, and then look for higher targets, right? And the higher targets would be that hacker zone, 618 retracement. And, in a perfect world, we'll see a 200% move to the upside, $4, right? So obviously magnifying glass on, let's not get too crazy. But again, I do like just the magical fusion that's happening here with 𝗙𝗔𝗩. Now, something that looks very similar is Ondo. Ondo looks quite nice here as well. Now, guys, I typically want to give you guys a couple shorts per show, but right now with the crazy sell-off here, I mean, it's only looking like longs. And again, so some of these longs might not work out, guys. So have a plan. I'm giving you guys the areas to get in and stop losses as well. And again, all these charts are going to be posted in the Chart Hackers live section. So if you're not in the Chart Hackers, check the description below, get started with us and get that alpha. But here we go. Like, again, same situation. We have 50-day, we have point of control, we have value area low, we have 200 AMA, we have a rising trend, we have a bullish order block. I just have confluence after confluence after confluence with Ondo. And yeah, I think we're coming in soon. I think Bitcoin coming down to that level, coming down just a little bit more would be great, because Ondo would give us maybe a 4 or 5% dip, and 93 cents is the banger. It really is, right? And I think that we could see a rise up to the 382 retracement, which is what we were looking at. We actually charted this on Tuesday during the charting session that I run every Tuesday there. But, basically a fib from the high to the low. We have a 382. If you guys remember arrow, we did the same thing with arrow, and arrow actually went past that 382 on the macro. But I'm looking for the 382 macro to be hit here. Makes a lot of sense for it to do that. And yeah, in the short term, that would be kind of a 28% rip to the upside. And then obviously, if we can get alt season and dominance goes down, like we can see a lot higher with Ondo. But in the short term, this looks decent here. Again, we just had this bearish divergence on the 8 hour. It's kind of almost played out in my opinion. So a little bit more of a sell-off here, and we'll get into it, right? So again, that level for me here is 0.95. Okay, so those are the setups that I have my eyes on right now that I want to give you guys. We have 3 minutes left. And James, do we have something that I can maybe chart from scratch? I know SKL looks a little bit crazy here, but maybe we can do something else. I don't know. What is the chat saying here? Let me know.
A lot of people asking for Sol, actually, probably because there's all kinds of people in it. That's pretty straightforward, kind of boring token, but that SKL ripped like crazy. I think it's primed for a short.
Okay. Do we have time? Let's see here. Solana. What do we have? And guys, I'm looking at the chats. Hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, I know Onyx Coin guys. It probably will still play out a little bit delayed, but I got stopped out on Onyx Coin guys. Again, not every trade is going to work out. Have a plan, have an exit plan. Hit the evacuation button if you have to. Solana, where are we at? Cool. So same thing with Solana, guys. I was telling the chart hackers, it looked like an amazing long here. Again, same situation. Something that we can reference is the 200, the 50, the 100, everything coming together here. You see a nice little pop-off effect here. And yeah, look, Solana's not really doing too bad here. I really like it. I gave you guys that long here. What can we say? Double top situation. Let me update this. Let's see what we can find here on Solana. Let's drop an anchored VWAP. Let's drop some anchored VWAPs here, guys. And usually that's the clue. Where do we bounce? Let's drop one right here. And let's drop one right here. And okay, we have that one already. Okay. All right. So impulse move, it's coming into it right now. This impulse move is coming in right here. Let's also do a mini range pull. Right here. Let's see what's going on right here. Okay, so I like that. I think maybe that's what it is, guys. This anchored VWAP and this point of control, like this is not really a high conviction anchored VWAP, but you guys can see that the anchored VWAP for that one anyways is being respected. And honestly, that's what it could be, right? It could just be this and we bounce right now. And what I'm looking for with Bitcoin doesn't happen. Again, we could bounce now. Again, there's a lot of tokens that if Bitcoin dumps a little bit more, it's going to give us those amazing entries, right? But personally, I think if Bitcoin does dump a little bit more, I'd like to see this, right? I think that could be what it is. So 177.81 is key. It's an anchored VWAP. It's a point of control. Let's see if there's some kind of fib that ties into that. So let's do a new fib right here. And yeah, look at that. We have a hacker zone. So we're on the 382 right now. It makes a lot of sense that we could bounce here. But again, if Bitcoin comes down just by 2%, how much of a drop is that going to be for Solana? Yeah, that is quite steep there, 6 or 7%. We may not get it. So the idea here maybe for Solana is maybe low leverage, have a position here, maybe have a stop loss below this anchored VWAP, or if you want to do low leverage and have a kind of a laddering strategy here, I think that we should bounce off of 177 here. It makes a lot of sense. We have a macro, or not macro, but we have this point of control here, this 618 and anchored VWAP. But that's enough for me to say, hey, look, we'll probably bounce. And Solana was holding quite nicely there, guys. So look, it's 531. We pushed it to 535 last time. Let's do some SKL here, because yeah, I'm sure everyone is trying to figure this out. So what we can do is, lower high to the dump. So typically I'd like to pull my fibs from here to here. Okay, so that's interesting. So we're passing up the hacker zone. We're going for the 786. Let's get 2 range pulls going on here. Let's drop one right here. And then let's also do a bigger one right here. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to do anchored VWAPs. You know, this is probably going to be a huge... Okay, so let's do one here January 29th, and then we have one on December 4th. So January 29th. Let's get some anchored VWAPs going on here. More settings. Why isn't it popping up? 15-minute time frame. Okay, more settings. Why is it not working? Yeah, my trading view is acting retarded, guys. Shoot. Well, let me try to, I guess, just drop it on the 30 minutes then. It should be at least give us a general idea here, because again, we're running out of time. Okay, let's drop it right here on the 30 minutes. And where's that other high? Up here. Okay. So we need to get the exact high. Looks like the exact high is this guy. Right? So let's drop it right here. And let's see where that falls into place. Wow, we're above both of them, guys. This is quite bullish. Oof. Look, I've got a fixed range pull as well here. We're at value area high, but is there a macro thing going on here? Let's find out. Ooh, okay, maybe that's what it is. Value area high is at 0.5957. So maybe that's the short. We have a 786 as well. Let's drop a fib. I'm telling you guys, TA can look kind of messy sometimes, but dang, that actually looks nice here. Okay, so maybe it's a macro hacker zone. So let's get rid of this pull because that's shorter time frame. Yeah, look, I think that's probably what it is here. I think 0.06. We're probably going to get a reaction right here. This is a value area high. This is a macro 618, and you know how high or how much of a dump could that be? Well, let's drop an anchored VWAP from this low right here and see what's going on. That makes sense. So maybe something like that. How much of a drop is that? That'd be a nice little 30% play here. So look, I'd be careful trying to short it right now. That's for dang sure. It's getting above that 618, that 786 that I was telling you about. You know, we should see a macro 618 reaction. If I can get my settings to fix here, because I was trying to, it's just not letting me, because I wanted to drop an anchored VWAP from the macro high. I'd really be curious to know what the anchored VWAP is here. Dang, it's 5:35 already. You know what? I'm just going to have to give the rest of the chart hackers, guys. Look, I'm willing to bet there's some kind of reaction here, right? So set your alerts. We have a macro. And if you look at the higher time frames, right, what do we got? We have, this is the macro high. So this is the all-time high. We had the lower high and then the big correction. So now I've got the fib pulled from here to here. And I love how the hacker zone is tying in perfectly with a value area high here. I'm curious to know if the anchored VWAP drop from here lands right here. And if it does, I think that's the banger, guys. So obviously it's pumped to the heavens. It looks like a juicy short, but it's also a freight train going 100 miles an hour, and you might get smashed a bit. So anyways, guys, nice little TA here on the spot. We've got Solana, we've got SKL. Let's do some more next week. I gotta wrap it up here, so let's do this kind of in summary. What do I expect? Look, I think dominance had a nice reaction here off the macro 618. I'd like to see us either come up here a little bit more and then come back down. Obviously, I'd be happy if we come down here, but you know, we'll just have to see how we go. For Bitcoin, like I said, Asia has the best short entries at the moment, right? Asia got in right here. US session got right here, right? And, you know, we're sitting here. We're kind of losing point of control. We're losing anchor VWAP. Like, buyers need to step in now. Like, if they don't, I feel like Asia's going to do this, right? Which obviously we're going to get some good entries on some of the tokens that I told you guys. And then we should see some kind of bounce to the upside there, right? And then, yeah, guys, man, I wish I had more time, but I really don't. So I really hope that you guys got some value here today. We'll see how the week plays out. Again, my strategy is low leverage. We took a render trade here today, guys. Shout out to Trader J for putting that one on my radar. It looks quite juicy, but we're looking to get into Bonk. We're looking to get into Pengu if we get a little bit lower entry there. And yeah, like give you guys ADA setup there. I mean, let's see how we go for the week. And for any of you guys that are in the Chart Hackers, here in a few hours, I'm doing a session with Trader J. We do it every other Thursday, a collab session. So that's going to be a banger there, and hope to give you guys some alpha there. So with that being said, cheers. I hope you guys have a great, fantastic rest of the week, and let's make some money. We'll see you guys on the next trade. Cheers, and bye for now.